we usually do. So what are the plans for the weekend? You want to go, Zepti?
Yeah, sure. Sam is not here, so I'm alone. So yeah, I don't know. I'll be pretty boring all day playing video games. Yeah, nothing else, I guess. I'll pass it to Juan.
Thanks, Septimus. Actually, today I invited some friends to come over to my house. So yes, we are going to have like a small party here in my house. I love like hosting with my friends to my friends, and yeah, that's it. What about you, Sean?
Nothing much. I'm still looking for a couple of citrus trees to plant. So hopefully I'll be able to find them this weekend and get hopefully some oranges and lemons growing. What about you, Santi?
I think we're gonna have a party at Juan Carlos. He's always having people there, man. What kind of citrus? Any variety?
Ideally, it would be like dwarf trees.
Okay, cool.
And then like orange or lemon.
Okay, good.
And I want to say that, of course, you are invited to come to Barranquilla whenever you want. Here I have like a spare room. And also, when the DevCon comes in Colombia, you're also very welcome. And I hope that we can see like each other presently.
Hey, Zepti, you recorded that, okay? Now you get ready for that party. Okay. Well, not much here for the weekend. It started raining. Yeah, says that it's gonna snow. I don't know if it's gonna reach down here by the ocean. I don't think so, but apparently it's gonna be kind of chilly. So I don't think we're gonna do too much this weekend. Just rest a little bit and focus on projects. So that's probably the plan. Okay. We just well, anyone can join. There's the labs going on. I don't know if the labs overlap because the labs used to start after legal, and I see a bunch of people in the labs room. I just don't know if they moved and we didn't move,
I think
or what's going on. But
it's because of the calendar thing. Like if you do, yeah, on the calendar they are both there. Maybe it's because of the times changing on the United States, and since John is from like I think he's from Canada, yeah, maybe he just moved it.
Okay. I just checked Google because usually it changes everything automatically. And yet, actually, yesterday we had the call and it moved automatically from what it used to be 8:00 p.m. here to 7 p.m. And I figured out that Google would automatically change the time frame on any time zone. But anyway, I guess we're gonna be with these slight changes for these 2 weeks until we finally change here. Anyway, Sean, you mentioned that you were able to go over the glossary on Gitbook. Is that all finalized from your point of view?
I think so. I think it looked really good. I didn't think there was anything we needed to add to it. I thought it was really well done, and so I didn't go in and make any changes to the glossary. I liked it the way it was.
Great. Oh, hello, Griff. Hello, Libby. We saw you on the labs. I don't know if who's running on the wrong time frame here, if us or them. They are. Okay.
Unless you want to move it an hour, which would be fine, but I think it's okay to just go.
All right. Okay. For today, well, we were just finishing to answer what plans for the week. If you want to go.
Sure. My plans for the weekend. I love the league. This is such a nice question. It's the same old. I'll take Saturday to go ride bikes with the kids, and then Sunday I will work all day, probably from the bathtub. That's my weekend every week.
All right.
Olivia?
Yeah, I have no plans for tomorrow, but Sunday I'll go to Curitiba, that it's my hometown, to stay with my mom for a week. And I pass back to you, Santi.
That's nice. Thank you, Libby. Okay, my plan for today was to take a final look at Gitbook and see what else is needed from the legal docs point of view, and maybe we can share that. If you can share that, maybe that'd be great. And if we finalize the documents are pretty much. Should we go for the ideas that I have in mind? One that we ago, which was the potential document for the praise distribution or the total. Once we start distributing, not just impact our regions, whatever tokens we decide to distribute or decide to distribute. And then the terms for the proposals that we're going to have to get the proposal signed or check or whatever, read or whatever we decide that they have to do that. I don't know if there's any other potential document that we should focus on next. Griff, is anything else that you have in mind?
No, I think just the only.
Good.
I mean, yeah, the only thing is the proposals for the TC hatch DAO. Just I feel like that's the only. The only priority, and then we're ahead of the game.
Because one thing that came in one of the meetings that we haven't discussed yet, and I don't know if we will be able to manage that with Celeste, is how do we measure that they deliver on what they promised to deliver on the proposal? If there is any way we want to measure, I don't know if we want to deal with that or not.
What I would say from my experience is that, like, as much as I would like to have this very like complex escrow system and have all these great solutions, for MVP, you're giving a grant. We're giving grants, and when you give grants, you hope that it works out. And the thing is, with conviction voting, it's a lot easier to pass small grants. And if it doesn't work out for that first small grant, you're probably not going to get any more.
Yeah, you're killing your reputation for the future. That's about it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Is it possible to dispute a proposal after it passes?
Well, yes, there's an execution delay, but once it's been executed and the money's been spent. But I believe that there is an execution delay on conviction voting, and during, we have to deploy this stuff, and look, it's too early.
Yeah, I think this can be something for Gravity even to deal with, like if someone doesn't deliver a proposal, because there can be like multiple extents of how that affects the community. Like one can be, oh, they got this grant, they were gonna do something that doesn't compromise other projects. Then like they're just burning their reputation. But maybe there's a proposal that it's somehow related with other proposals, and then it could like delay what other community members are doing, or even the advancement of another grant. So that could potentially become like a conflict or something. So we could think of like what types of this can be a graduated sanction.
Yeah, but still, it's a little subjective. They may announce what they are planning to do with the grant, but they may run into changes while they are developing. If there's something dealing with development, you always have some kind of specs, but as you start developing, you may change. Usually, you end up changing those specs, and that doesn't mean that they didn't use the grant correctly. It's just that the project slightly pivoted or changed a little bit, and they didn't deliver what they mentioned on that proposal, but they are farther down on that goal. So it's kind of subjective, but at the end of the day, I think that communicating, it's going to be key, because whatever the delivery is, or the goal that they reach on that delivery that they promised when they proposed and they finally got the grant, is going to get the sense of being really using that grant for what they mentioned, or they proposed, or they requested for, and on the future, that will be what people is going to remember when they post for another grant or get involved into another one.
So I kind of need to support the labs. Is there anything that you guys want to talk about for like 5 more minutes that you would want my input on?
No, I basically wanted to make sure that we get that Gitbook ready, in terms of legal, and I wanted to review that, make a final review on that, make sure that the next documents we focus on, we are all aligned, which is going to be the terms for proposals. And that was about it for today. I didn't expect to be a full hacking session today.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, as far as proposal terms, short and sweet. I really like what Sean, we were talking about it in, I don't know if it's the last call before, but it's really just about managing expectations, telling people, hey, you're 100% at risk here, or mitigating it however we're mitigating it. But I'm pretty sure that it's just a simple saying like, hey, this is what you're doing when you propose to this DAO. And we move on from there.
Mm-hmm. Good. Okay. Libby, do you want to show your screen with Gitbook so we can take a final look of how we integrate those documents?
Yeah, so in the hatch session, we have the stuff Nate put up, the FAQ. So these are all of the FAQ sections. And then there's this legal FAQ. I was a little bit confused about maybe we do another, maybe we take legal out of the hatch 101 part and make it its own header. I don't know why it's not letting me edit.
What do you think, Sean? I don't feel very comfortable having legal next to the rest of the 101. It's like, I don't know. I just think the 101, it's like not, in a way, it's not giving it enough entity or enough, importance. But on the other side, I just don't want to really seem like this legal stuff really needs to, have its own weight. I don't have a clear idea if it would need a specific section or it's better to put it on the 101 section. What's your point, Sean?
Well, I think there's 2 thoughts there. One is it's nice to have legal near other documents you think people are going to read if you want people to read the legal documents. So if you put it in a section that people are going to be navigating through, then I think it increases the chances they'll navigate through the legal documents because it's there and it's easy. So if legal is a whole separate tab, I think it calls it out easier, where if you really want to read legal, you're going to see it. But conversely, you're probably who wants to read the legal stuff? Nobody. And so you may get less people looking at it, even though it's clear where it is. So the people who really care, you're probably going to get them to read the legal documents if it's separate. But I think if you want more people to see it, you probably want to keep it near documents that are most likely to be read. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think we should leave it where it is, Libby. That's my personal sense. I want as many people as possible to go over it, have it easy to access it. And I agree with Sean.
In the Hatch 101 then, because it's. I just think people are going to read those documents. That's a more interesting section to me. And I think if you just have a separate legal, people are they're just not going to pay.
Just skip it. Yeah, skip it. Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just took it off of the, right now, you have the 3 main ones here, and then legal is one of them. I just took it off of, under this hood and put it separate. So it's still under
Okay.
hatch 101, but it's more visible.
All right. Okay.
What about out them, like we were saying at the beginning, on the agreements we're writing, and have the PDF there. So yeah, everyone reading the agreements also is reading have the opportunity to check the legal documents.
I don't really get what you mean, Septimus.
We were talking at the beginning about having the legal documentation close to the agreements. So when people are reading the agreements, they also see the legal, the legal things about the legal documents about related to the DAOs.
Okay. Oh, just having a link, so when they are reading those agreements, they can point to that link and jump into this section, the legal section. Can we do that, Phoebe?
Having a link in the hatch 101? Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. And there's another question I have here. Is there any place where we have in the Gitbook where we mention the Swiss Association membership?
Hold on 1 second. I don't, not like explicitly. Probably it's in the.
I was wondering, Sean, if we mention that in the Gitbook, should we add somehow, even on a PDF, the terms that we require all the members to sign when they go through the app of the Swiss Member Association?
If you're, I mean, my understanding for the Swiss membership was for that primarily just applied to the hatchers, that it wasn't going to apply to the people that are in the TEC Commons DAO. So it makes sense that it's not in the Gitbook, but if it's going to be in the Gitbook, then yeah, I would list out, this is kind of how the hatchers, thought about their legal protections and the process they put in place for it. And then I wouldn't just mention it. I would include it, all the requirements, if it's going to be added at all. I really don't know if we need it in here, because this really, my understanding was the Gitbook was not meant for the people who are going to be hatching the DAO, that this is more for everyone else. So I don't know if that really adds to the conversation, but I don't have a problem adding it. It's just, I don't know if it's necessary.
What's the target of the Gitbook, maybe?
Everyone is like having a single source of truth for the TC.
And for all of them, hatchers and non-hatchers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I think we should put it somehow, because if we mention the Swiss Association, it's not a big deal to just have a link next to that mentioning and have that legal document to open up on a PDF.
So
something with go.
I was thinking, what Sean was saying, on the Git, like the information that is related to the hatch is it could also have like an historic space, but it's not something like it's going to happen again. It's something that happened, and we could save it like how it was created and related in this way, but not something like it's keep happening, because when the commons is built, it have nothing to do with the DApp, right? It was
The upside. Go ahead, Lily.
Sorry. Yeah, after the commons upgrade, we'll probably put this section down into a historical session, like Septimus said, because people won't be like looking into it all the time. But I think the legal section should probably still stay in the main part, because it's still things that people are going to be compliant to be like easy to access if they have any question or if something happens. And
right, because if you even though we will be on the final DAO, some of us will be hatchers, and we will have signed those terms to become a hatcher. So in the event anything happens, we need to take a look at that document, which is nowhere, because after we are part of the Swiss association, it's gone. We may even just get rid of that app because we don't need it anymore. So there should be a place where we can any hatcher easily can reach those terms.
And you may want other, the future DAOs that may try to model themselves on what happens here would probably appreciate seeing that stuff. So I think in that regard, yeah, maybe it does belong here then. And yeah, the hatch stuff can go into a historical section, after the commons kind of gets really launched. But yeah, I mean, for future DAOs that are looking and saying, well, how should we organize? What should we do? What steps do we take? It would be a good resource for them.
Yeah, we'll have another document for future commons that will be the cultural build handbook. That will be like a product from the common stack, and then this will remain like TC focused. And yeah, I think we'll understand after the hatch how to rename this section and make it so it's like the legal section, the terms, and not call it like a hatch on a one-on-one, and just have like, oh, the hatch happened in this way, because we'll also have information about that. Now we only have kind of like a speculative and preventive approach. And about the Swiss Association, we've been discussing in the common stack to call the Swiss Association Trusted Seed, like to merge the concepts a little bit more, because if a person is in the Trusted Seed and they didn't become part of the Swiss Association, they won't be able to participate in the hatch. So it's better to just call it like one thing, that they need to be a member of the. So anytime we're referring to Trusted Seed members in the hatch context, they are Swiss Association members as well. So I think in this part of the Trusted Seed FAQ, we do talk about the Swiss Association, but if it's not here,
I guess that's what Griff was mentioning on yesterday's meeting, that if you don't get the hat or the shirt, you are not a member of the Swiss Association. You may think you are because you have CSDK tokens, but you are not. Is that correct?
Yeah. So here, do I have to pay the Common Stack Swiss Association membership dues? Yes, to join and participate in the hatch. So we do talk about it in like indirect way.
What do you think on putting the document there just with the link, Sean? Just there.
I'd add a link.
Okay. Can you just grab the Libby? Can you just grab the whole document from the app, or request it to Griff and generate a PDF, and we can add it there?
Sorry, generate a PDF from what?
From the document that's on the app to be a member of the Swiss Association, the document that we check when we become a member before paying. We need those are the terms, and those are the ones that should be there on a link. So just generate a PDF out of those, and link it there.
Yeah, let me ask Chris about it now.
I think I may have it somewhere if I look, because document before, but it's probably on the old server.
I'm messaging him right now.
Okay. So the glossary is fine. We will add these Swiss association terms on a link in this section. And should we go through the legal FAQ and check if everything looks fine?
Yeah, let's do that. The legal FAQ, this one?
Yeah, I guess that's the only section that we're missing, right? In speaking about legal.
I was also thinking of putting the agreements, the hatch agreements, the cultural ones, here under the legal FAQ. I can put maybe hatch boundaries.
Okay.
What do you think?
That's an agreement that we have to check anytime, or it's just a recommendation or the rules or the boundaries, but
it's this part here.
Do we have to commit on that?
Okay. I think it's more of an understanding of what are the
whole terms and
yeah.
Most of those are explained on the big hatch terms. They're all there. So probably this is just like, I would think that this is like a TLDR of that big document, or the first pages of that big document where everything is explained.
Oh, so this is the hatch terms TLDR? No, but we already have that.
Let me check on that. Can you click that? Okay, then those are no, they are not. That other one. It's probably the hatch parameters, or the hatch. It's an explanation of the hatch parameters. The minimum cap, the goal, the holders. It's a more detailed explanation of all the hatch process. Yeah, I don't think that this is a legal document. This is more an explanation document, although you can call them terms, but it's fine to be underneath it, but not inside legal. That's my personal feeling. But what do you think, Sean?
I agree. I think it'd be fine to have it underneath it, but not a part of the legal. Just because it looked like to me a bit more like similar to the glossary, where it's a real good explanation of a lot of the terms and processes, but it's nothing anyone's signing off on in terms of saying, look, here's a risk you're taking, or here's your obligations. So it's fine if it's next to it, but I wouldn't put it inside of it.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
All right. And I think we can just let's see. Yeah, let's keep going over that section. What are the legal implications of joining the trusted seed within my specific country? Do we have report anyone in the country? So yeah, terms and conditions. That's a link. Is that a link to the hatching document that you highlighted, Libby?
Yeah, I highlighted to add a link. So this
Okay.
should link to
The hatch terms on
the
a
full
PDF.
hatch terms. This one?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. If it's there, just link it there. That's a document with that with the diagram, right?
Yeah.
Can you just scroll down? Is the diagram down there?
Yeah, here.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Okay, I think we're there. Let's the statutes. Yeah, the statutes is the Swiss Association statutes are there, right?
The statues are here.
Actually, that's what we sign when we become a member, right?
Is it?
I think so. I think so.
Okay, so should we create a new page for it with this document?
Well, this is a PDF. I would just link it from wherever we have to link it, and that's it. I think that's enough. Okay, there's the status, and can you click on the other IPFS, Doc? The one underneath? No, the one underneath the statute. Yeah, that one. Because I think we also signed that when we membership terms, right? Those are the terms of the Swiss Association membership. And the other document is the statutes. But both of them are here. So we have them both and we check them both. I think that this is the one we sign, and the other one is just the statute is like the deed of foundation. If I'm wrong, am I correct, Sean?
I think the other one's the terms and conditions. The first one you sign, the second one's the terms and conditions. That's what I thought.
Okay. But yeah, we have them both, so they're already there. We just need to link to them on any section. So I think it'd be good to read. I'll try to go over those whole legal facts and make sure that we don't forget anything. But I think we're pretty much done with that. So yeah, that's basically what I wanted to go over. And I don't know if Libby just got okay. Yeah, she's back here. So I think we're pretty much done in this point. The rest I wanted to discuss, we've already discussed it, which is going over the next steps, which will be start to discuss on the terms for the proposals. There is also that little discussion we had about the source credit distribution. If we should mention somehow that this is not considered salary or whatever terms that we have to add to make sure that everyone considers that just as a gift, donation, prize, or whatever they want to call it, but nothing to do with the salary whenever we start distributing any kind of tokens from the results of source credit or the praise system. And that would be basically it, I think, unless there's anything additional that we think in terms of legal, we will be just about covered. So I don't know, Sean, did you have any idea on the terms for the proposals, or have you thought about it?
I have thought about it, and I just want to make sure that I'm on the same page here. We're talking about the proposals the community would make once we're up on the, after the hatch, when you have like the actual common stack. Are those the proposal terms we're talking about? Okay, good.
Yeah, those are the proposals that anyone team will have to, sign whenever they receive a grant after the proposal passes from voting.
So
After
yeah,
or before, I don't know. I don't know if after or before, whenever is needed.
right. I think the terms will probably cover both, because they'll probably cover kind of your expectations going into the proposal, as well as the distribution that happens if the proposal is granted, right? Because there's going to be a transfer of money and blah blah blah. So I think it'll cover both those situations. Yeah, I've started thinking about it. I have not finished a table of contents, but I've started a table of contents for it. This is the document that I think it doesn't have to be long, but it's going to be longer than the too long didn't read for that.
Yeah.
Because there's just more here.
Okay.
There's transfer of money, which complicates things. And so it'll be a little bit longer, but I don't think it has to be unwieldy. It's just going to be a little more of an effort.
Okay.
But I'll circulate early next week, Santi. I'll send you a table of contents, and we'll see if there's anything that we need to immediately add. And then
and we can have an open discussion. We can have an open discussion on that first iteration next week, and get the feedback from everyone.
Exactly.
Right.
I just don't want to miss anything.
I prefer you that you don't spend too much time initially, because we can have a discussion on the sections, or and once we all agree on that, we can go into the details.
No, that's a good idea. I think that's a good idea. But yeah, I've already started giving thoughts about it in terms of the praise situation, and that to me sounds like it's an asterisk or a parenthetical somewhere. It doesn't. I don't think it has to be a long discussion, because really all we're saying is, look, we have no intention of this praise, donation, gift, whatever, as being construed as a salary, and that people who are spending their time here are doing so because they want to, not because there's any employment relationship. That's a sentence or two.
My only concern here, and maybe Juan Carlos can jump into this, there's two concerns I have. Okay, first of all, we're giving away money. Okay, and if that can be covered one or two sentences, that's fine. We make sure this is not a salary. This is not linked to your dedication. It's just, I don't know, a price, whatever you want to call it, to make sure we don't have any responsibility on that. But there may be an issue if someone thinks that they've been putting a lot of effort and not getting what he expected. And a dispute may arise, a conflict may arise there. Okay, so I don't know if we can somehow transmit that and get free of that potential situation. I don't know if there's any way. Of course, the subjective feeling is always going to be there, but at least if we have a document that states, look, this thing can happen because this system is not perfect, and this is the way we're measuring, everything can change, and you can propose a change, and the committee that checks or deals with source credit, if it's source credit or the praise impact tower, can change and propose to change that. But this is what it is. It's not perfect, and that's what I was thinking also.
That's a good point, because with the salary wage issue, I think the best that can happen is us communicating to the members that that's not what we think it is, because there just isn't much more you can do. You can have someone, theoretically, you could have everyone click through an agreement saying, look, if I participate, I understand that I'm not, an employee of the DAO, because the DAO is not an employer. There's no entity per se. And so in theory, you could have someone sign something that confirms it. It just, generally speaking, in and of itself is not, when it comes to employment issues, and this is true not just in California, but in a lot of places, it's not, you just can't contract around it. There either is an employment relationship based on the facts or there's not. And you can't just sign an agreement that says, I don't think I'm an employee, and now you're out of it. It just doesn't work that way. So I think the best sometimes you can do is just be honest. Look, the Dow's not an employer. It's not paying anyone a salary.
There's no entity. There's even no entity.
Mm-hmm. Right. So there's nothing there. There's no tax ID. There's no there's just no organization there that you would call an employer. And so I just think maybe you just want to be honest with people and just say, look, there's nothing here. We don't think this is what it is. You shouldn't think it. And so to me, that seemed very short and sweet. But you're right. What if people are just frustrated with the amount of effort that goes in? I sit in on these calls. I do these video things. I spend all this time in the Gitbook or whatever, putting in this effort, and I don't like what I got out of it. That seems unfair. Yeah, maybe we need some sentences there to explain that as well. And it's kind of a similar thing where I think you're just being honest with them and saying, look, there's always up for discussion in terms of how these things are kind of decided, but there's not necessarily. I think you're right, Santi. I think it's probably a little bit of a longer document.
The thing, Sean, is that everyone is different. Every country is different. The price amount is different depending where you live, and there's people in more needs than others, and It's a very subjective feeling, and something that for you it's just a pleasure of joining and helping, and you don't expect nothing at all. Someone else may think, okay, I may get, I don't know, 20 DAI every week from here, and this helps a lot on my income. So for them, it's really an issue. So that's my personal sense.
I think a way we can frame. Yeah, I think a way we can frame it is that is a gift economy based on gratitude. Like, we are grateful for people's contribution, and that's the base system of praise. And there is a gift reward that might come from the contributions that people were giving. But they are not for sure, because we don't know if we're going to raise the minimum goal, and everyone is aware that we might not, and then this gift will not be distributed as we wish. And then two, that it's your economy, your choice. So the parameters for how much this impact hours are going to be valued are also going to be decided by the hatchers and by the people that have impact hours. So it's also in the hands of the people that are being rewarded to decide, based on the financial gains we're going to have, how much is going to be the gauge of this reward. So I think it could be cool to have a document that says that, like, that has a very like, that it's a disclaimer in this sense.
I think that's a great point. I think both those things actually, at first, they sounded disparate to me, like two really different ideas, but in a way they kind of come from the same place, because it's really about telling the community what the expectations are, or at least the hatching community what the expectations are. And so I think they're more related than I thought they were at first. Okay. I think I can write something up that, whether I call it a disclaimer or, some communication of expectations about what it is. And with the understanding that if the minimum amount's not hit, it doesn't matter because nothing can be distributed then. That it's based on on sort of a giving gift community, and that the terms ultimately are going to be decided by the hatchers. So I can put something together along with that, and as well as it's not a salary.
And Carlos, you wanted to add something there?
Yes, that actually this feeling of like biased praise is something that it's a possibility that we like foresaw in Gravity. So like we have this as a possible conflict that we can manage within the organization, that they are not being praised enough for what they're doing. They can reach out to Gravity, and then we can mediate that issue maybe with the working group lead or maybe with other people, so that we can do something for people to not feel that way. And I actually think also that the transparency audit is going to help with that, because in the transparency audit, the working lead must like affirm that they are giving praise to all the contributors due to their contributions. And if any of the contributors feels that they are not being equally praised in the working group, they can also like comment on the transparency audit, so that this feeling of like not being praised enough can be settled without having to compromise all the organization, but having it as a procedure between the people involved.
I think it's a really good point. I think that's a really good point, interacting with Gravity. So I'll definitely make sure to add that.
Okay, that's basically all I wanted to cover today. So I will take a look at the Gitbook and read all the legal sections, make sure that we don't miss anything there. If you want to also take a look at that, Sean, I'll appreciate it. And from there, if we feel everything's fine, we'll just leave it as it is. If we need to do a slight change, we can communicate to Libby so she can introduce that there. And we can start working on the proposal terms and discussion next week, and also go over these new terms that we introduced with the payments or the compensation through the systems that we have, either source credit or impact hours. All right. I think we can leave it a little.
Santi, can I just very
Sure,
quick?
sure.
When we were talking
Sure.
about the proposals, I was thinking we were going to have a legal document for the proposals choose on the parameters when we evolve to the new DAO. Like we were talking about, like protecting people who's building this. For example, like Sam, maybe he missed something on the code. It's not like he wants to scam us or nothing like that. We were discussing it like 2 weeks ago, but I don't know if this.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, should we have something like that, Sean? Like some terms that we require the hatchers to check, so the coders don't have any, and especially the one that deploys the code doesn't have any responsibility in case of hack or malfunction or anything of the code, because that person is specifically at risk in the event something wrong happens because of the code not being well, created.
Yeah, we might have to circle back on that in a week, because I don't know what the rules are even here in America, let alone what they are elsewhere. And my understanding is that generally developers don't have liability for the code that's written, but that's outside of my wheelhouse. So I'll have to kind of double check. That may be something that's just a little beyond me. But let me poke around a little bit, and if we can circle back next week on that, then we might be able to have a more interesting discussion about, trying to handle some of that potential liability. We'll have to see.
Okay, thanks for bringing that, Zepti. I'll add that on the agenda, on today's agenda page, and so we all have that in mind for the next meeting next week. Okay.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Bye, guys.
Thanks all of you for joining. I'd like to talk for a short. I'd like to talk to you for a short time, Sean.
You got it.
Griff just showed. We were just ending here, Griff.
Good.
We discussed 2 things as homework for next week. We're going to go through the terms. Sean is going to provide the skeleton that we can all discuss on the sections of those terms for the proposals. We were also discussing a little bit the praise distribution, how we should, handle that when we give away tokens due to the praise distribution of source credit distribution. Okay. And
but
finally,
that's after.
Yeah, that's after. That's after. Right. That's
yeah.
After. Right. And also, Zeptimus just brought something that we forgot some weeks ago, which was if we have to create some kind of terms to avoid the responsibility that the coders or the coder or the person deploying the contracts should have in case of malfunction or anything.
So the person deploying the contracts should be Daotoshi Nakamoto. That's the person deploying the contracts. We will not know who they are. They will use Tornado Cash, and that's the game. There's no reason to.
There is no person. If there is no person, should we care about it, or can we forget about?
We can forget about it. It's Daotoshi Nakamoto is very well protected by Tornado Cash.
Okay, good. Nice ways to deal with that issue.
Yeah, and the developers that are writing the code, they're all protected from the Common Stack, the Trusted Seed Swiss Association, basically. So the Common Stack Swiss Association takes ownership over all the GitHub code base. Oh, I'm sorry, my internet went out.
That you brought that, Zepti, so we give it a final discussion. I think we discussed this before, but anyway, we all are clear on that, and we just forget about that. If you're using Tornado Cash, there's no problem with that. Perfect. That's all for today. So thanks you all for coming, and I'll see you next week.